Requiem for a Dream, Hubert Selby Jr. The dream dies slow. First the pill, then the needle, then the silence. 4 lives chasing light until the light burns them hollow. Sarah Goldfarb is a widow with a red dress and a television that whispers promises. A casting call, a diet plan, pills that rattle like prayers. She takes one, then another, until hunger disappears and the world tilts into buzzing hallucination. The fridge growls, the walls bend. The game show applauds, and she smiles wider to hide the crack. Her son, Harry, has dreams too. Dreams stitched with heroin and quick money. With Marion and Tyrone, he swears this time it's different. They'll open a store. They'll escape. But the supply dries, and so does everything else. Harry's arm festers black, veins collapsing into rot. Marion sells herself for scraps, her art drowned under shame. Tyrone runs until prison walls swallow him, shivering in chains while winter chews his bones. Sarah wastes away in a hospital gown, strapped down, shocked into compliance. Harry loses his arm. Marion curls into strangers. Tyrone dreams of his mother but wakes to concrete. Selby doesn't offer redemption. There's no lesson, no rise, no hope. Just 4 bodies, orbiting an unreachable star until gravity wins. Requiem for a Dream isn't about addiction. It's about hunger, about the way hope itself becomes poison. And when the dream finally dies, it doesn't crash. It drifts, quiet, endless, into nothing. Pet Sematary, Stephen King. The ground looks harmless. Soft grass, a white picket fence, a road where trucks scream like metal animals. Then the cat comes back wrong. The purr is there, but the warmth isn't. The eyes know something you don't. That's the first lie the soil tells. Louis Creed is a doctor who believes in fixes. New house, new job, new start. Across the way lives Judd Crandall, a neighbor with stories and a path through the woods. First, the pet cemetery, misspelled stones and children's grief. Then farther, darker, older, a burial ground that doesn't give back what you bury. It returns what you refuse to let go. Changed, thinned, mean. When the road takes gauge, grief becomes a clock that won't stop ticking. Louis hears the ancient promise rustle in the trees. You can have him back. He digs, he carries. He crosses that line no parent should cross. And the earth answers. Gage returns. Small shoes, small hands, a smile like a cracked mirror. Love made him do it. Love opens the door for something else to walk in. Judd warned him. Sometimes dead is better. But warnings are for people who haven't lost everything. Louis learns the grave isn't a place, it's a voice. It whispers that the price is worth it. It whispers louder every night. There's no monster under the bed here. The monster is the wish that won't die. Because in Pet Sematary, the scariest thing isn't death. It's getting exactly what you begged the dark to give back. No longer human. Osamu Dazai. He smiles hard. He laughs louder than the pain. Yozo Oba has mastered 2 masks. Clown for the world, corpse for himself. But the more he performs, the deeper the fracture grows between mask and soul. He drifts. Every interaction becomes a mirror that reflects his hollow core. Born to a respectable family, Yozo is haunted by a secret early. He doesn't feel human. When servants' hands cross boundaries he can't mention, the trauma digests him. Later he learns that to survive in society you must pretend. So he laughs and jokes, wooing people who never knew the cost. In classrooms he falls intentionally. Every belly laugh hides a scream. When a classmate named Takechi whispers he sees through the act, Yozo is terrified. He tries to bind himself to Takechi, hoping someone will see and still stay. Tokyo is a stage of poison. He becomes drunk, weak, unseen. He flirts with nihilism, flirts with addiction, drags women into his spiral of emptiness. Each failed relationship dims his spark. Each disappointment deepens his hole. He paints. Dark, jagged self-portraits no one wants to see. Yet he keeps offering them, begging someone to look past the facade. There is no redemption, no rescue, no sudden clarity. Yozo's collapse is quiet, absolute. His screams are internal, lost behind the laughter echoing in empty rooms. This is no longer human. A portrait of a life stripped of disguise, suffering defined not by action, by absence. In the end, he stops pretending, and you see what lies beneath. Perfume. The story of a murderer. Patrick Süskind. The first thing he steals isn't a life, it's a smell. Rotting fish, hot tallow, stale river water. And somewhere inside that stench, a note so pure it rings like glass. Jean-Baptiste Grenouille is born without a scent of his own and with a nose that could map the world in the dark. He doesn't want love. He wants essence. Bottled soul. Paris is a reek. Tanneries, slaughterhouses, crowds packed like meat. Grenouille slips through it like a blade, cataloging odors no one else can perceive. Stone after rain, copper on a tongue, the sun burning a windowsill. Then he finds it. A girl's scent, bright as summer peaches and impossible innocence. He follows. He takes. He breathes her in as if it were prayer, then silence. Her fragrance haunts him, a ghost he must resurrect. He apprentices with perfumers, masters the alchemy of smell. Maceration, enfleurage, fat and flowers coaxed into liquid memory. Technique becomes theology. The world reduces to formulas, glass, and desire. To recreate the girl, he needs more notes. He needs them young. He needs them perfect. Bodies are only instruments. The perfume is the song. When the masterpiece is complete, it bends crowds to worship. Murder dissolves beneath rapture. They call it love because they cannot bear the word compulsion. Grenouille, the man with no scent, wears divinity like a borrowed coat and finds it empty. Perfume isn't about a killer. It's about hunger so pure it erases the person who feels it, and everyone who stands close enough to be turned into fragrance. The Painted Bird. Jerzy Kosiński. The boy has no name, just mud on his face, hunger in his stomach, and silence where his family should be. World War II is the backdrop, but this isn't history, it's nightmare. Villages blur into one another, each one darker than the last. Wherever he goes, the cruelty follows. He wanders through forests and fields, hoping for kindness. What he finds is punishment. Peasants spit on him, calling him a demon. Priests whip him for sins he never confessed. Strangers beat him, starve him, sell him. One man gouges out another's eyes with a spoon. Another forces him to watch as birds, painted bright with dyes, are released into the sky, only to be torn apart by their own flocks. The boy learns that standing out means death. Each chapter is a new descent. He sees children buried alive, animals tortured for sport, women brutalized until they're shadows. He sees people betray each other for bread crusts for a moment of safety. His innocence rots, replaced by a numb shell that looks like survival. The Painted Bird isn't about war strategy or armies. It's about what war does to people left behind, the ones too small to fight but too alive to escape. The horror here isn't just in the violence, it's in how quickly cruelty becomes routine. By the end, the boy doesn't cry, doesn't speak, doesn't hope. He just watches, silent as the painted birds falling from the sky. Beloved, Toni Morrison. The house is full of ghosts. Floors that groan, walls that weep. A baby's laughter turning sharp in the dark. Seth knows the sound. It's the daughter she killed. She did it with her own hands. A desperate act to keep the child from the chains of slavery. The past is buried, but it doesn't stay buried. It walks. After the Civil War, Seth builds a fragile life with her surviving children. But memory is louder than freedom. The scars on her back, the chokecherry tree, speak of the whips that once claimed her flesh. Then a young woman appears, barefoot, dripping, whispering the name only Seth knows. Beloved. She's not just a stranger. She's the child returned, grown into something beautiful, something monstrous, something hungry. Beloved devours the household. She drains Seth's strength, isolates her from the world, binds her in chains of guilt heavier than iron. Denver, Setha's daughter, watches her mother shrink under the weight of a love that has rotted into obsession. Beloved demands stories, demands attention, demands flesh. The horror of Beloved isn't in jump scares. It's in the truth. Slavery doesn't end when the chains are broken. It lingers in memory, in family, in the ghosts that sit at the table and refuse to leave. Morrison doesn't write a ghost story. She writes a wound that breathes, a grief that eats. In the end, Beloved isn't just one girl. She's every shadow slavery left behind, whispering that the past never lets go. It waits. Crash. J.G. Ballard. The highway is a shrine of twisted metal. Headlights flicker like candles, and every skid mark feels like scripture. In Crash, car accidents aren't tragedies, they're rituals. For James Ballard's characters, the smell of gasoline and the crunch of glass are more intimate than love. The story begins with a collision, but it doesn't end there. The survivors don't recoil from the wreckage, they lean closer. Dr. Robert Vaughan, a scarred prophet of this new religion, dreams of dying in a crash with a celebrity, his body fused to steel and flesh in a final act of devotion. Around him gather disciples who no longer see machines as tools but as lovers, extensions of desire and destruction. Cars become bodies. Wounds become art. Sex is reenacted in crumpled vehicles, pleasure tangled with airbags and shattered windshields. The fetish isn't about death, it's about transformation, the merging of skin and chrome until neither can exist without the other. Ballard writes it clinically, almost cold, as if reporting on a medical experiment rather than human obsession. And that's what makes it worse. The violence isn't random, it's deliberate. The characters chase crashes the way others chase intimacy, convinced that only through destruction can they feel alive. The horror of crash isn't supernatural, it's prophetic. Technology doesn't just reshape us, it seduces us. And when we finally surrender, the line between passion and wreckage disappears. Because in this world, love doesn't mean holding someone close. It means slamming into them at 80 miles an hour. The Trial, Franz Kafka. It starts with a knock. No warning, no crime, no explanation. Two men step into Joseph K's room and tell him he's under arrest. For what? They don't say, they don't need to. From that moment on, guilt is his shadow, stitched to him by a system that never shows its face. Joseph K is a banker, a man who believes in rules, contracts, order. But when he enters the world of the court, logic dissolves. Hearings take place in cramped attics. Officials speak in riddles, shrugging when he demands clarity. Files vanish. Addresses shift. People whisper his name, but never the charges. Every door leads deeper into a maze with no center, no exit. He hires lawyers, fires them, pleads his case, loses his voice in the noise. Each new authority figure, clerks, assistants, priests, offers metaphors instead of answers. The longer he fights, the more absurd it all becomes, until Joseph himself begins to believe he must be guilty. Why else would the system grind him down so completely? The trial isn't about crime, it's about power. It shows how authority doesn't need to be absolute. The true horror isn't Joseph's execution. It's the erosion of his certainty, the slow surrender of his mind to a machine that doesn't care whether he's innocent. In the end, Joseph kneels in a quarry, a knife sliding into his chest. Not for what he did, but because the system said so.
Subscribe for more interesting stuff. Tell us your experience in the comments.